Hello and welcome to the Marketing One podcast. I'm your host, Anusha, Kannan, and it is great to have you here. Are you looking to move into marketing or want to learn marketing from scratch? We discuss all things marketing, analytics, business, personal branding, AI, and much more in a way any layman can understand. If you're new here, make sure to follow along and get on that email list by visiting anushakannan.com/email list to receive newsletters from me twice weekly. Follow at Anusha Ramesh Kannan on TikTok. Tag us on your stories. Would love to see that. And now let's dive in. Welcome back to this week's episode. Today we're diving into the numbers that actually matter in marketing, metrics that will tell us whether our strategies are working, whether we're losing money, or how we can fine-tune for success. I've got some case studies, some little announcements. Actually, I'll tell you the announcement. I'm going to talk about a lot of metrics, but how do you actually calculate them and how it works in real life? I'm going to do that step by step. I'll be sharing that step by step on my newsletter in just 2 days. I'm going to start with CAC first. So make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter. Go to anushakannan.com/email list and you'll get the first edition this Thursday. All right. So let's start with the basics. Marketing metrics, they're not just numbers, right? They're signals. They're telling you what's working, what's wasting money, and where your biggest opportunities lie. But the fact is, we all get data, we all take the metrics, but they only work when you act on them. So you can say that, hey, I have this data, I have that data, I know what's working and what's not working, but then you don't act on it. That's not going to do any of us any good. So the key here is knowing which metrics to focus on and what they actually mean for your goals. So I'll walk you through some of the metrics and talk about what those metrics actually mean and how we use them, and then I'll jump into some examples. So stick around. And let's start off with the first one, customer acquisition cost, which is basically what I'm going to walk you through in my newsletter this Thursday. So make sure you're subscribed. Customer acquisition cost is how much it costs to acquire a new customer. Think of it as the sum of your marketing spend and sales expenses divided by the number of new customers. Yes, it's a formula. It's marketing spend plus sales expenses divided by the number of customers. So if your customer acquisition cost is too high, you're probably spending inefficiently or you're probably targeting the wrong audience. Let's say that you have about 500 people that you're targeting and you want to get about, let's say, 300 people as your customer, okay, as your customers. And you're trying to convert them, and how much does it take to acquire one of those customers? If you're trying to get 300 customers, but your target audience is 500 and you're spending X amount, how much are you actually converting? And how much does it cost to acquire one of those customers? It's super important to know that so you know if it's even valuable. It's like you're cooking so much, but then you don't add salt. Right? Then it's like, okay, the taste doesn't actually taste the way I want it to taste. That's kind of how I look at it, if it makes sense to you. The second one is return on investment. This is something that we use even in our day-to-day lives. If it's like you're paying $3 to buy a carton of milk, does it last for 2 weeks? Does it make sense to you? What's your return on investment there? Return on investment in marketing is basically how much revenue you're generating compared to what you're spending. So the bottom line metric for figuring out if your campaigns are actually paying off. Number 3, customer lifetime value. This tells you the total revenue a customer brings in over their entire relationship with your business. So CLV and CAC are super important. How much you spend versus how many customers are converting. When you compare these two, you'll actually know if your business is healthy or not. Number 4 is conversion rate optimization. This is actually becoming pretty big in marketing. So if you're looking for jobs, learning CRO might be useful. Actually, it will be useful. CRO is nothing but turning visitors into customers. And in the concept of digital marketing, we have landing pages. So a lot of people come on our landing page, but they don't convert, they bounce off. Understanding CRO is important for that. It measures how many people take the action you want. For example, it can be signing up, it can be making a purchase, or it can be any goal that you have there and how you can improve that. Number 5 is engagement metrics. I sometimes look at it like vanity metrics, but sometimes it can be valuable. Things like clicks, likes, and comments, these will tell you how well your audience is interacting with your content. But Again, engagement isn't everything. It's just a piece of the puzzle. Sometimes you'll just understand what's kind of working with your customers. Now that we have our metrics defined, let's actually look at how companies are using them to succeed. Here are some standout examples of how businesses are using these metrics to grow smarter and faster. The first one, let's start off with customer acquisition cost. I'm going to talk about Dylan's Candy Bar. So the situation here is Dylan's Candy Bar had a lot of customers walking in, but struggled with loyalty, which means they're coming in, but they're not really loyal. They're not coming back. The repeat customer rate is pretty low. By analyzing their customer acquisition cost and focusing on high-value customers, they ran a personalized campaign targeting those segments. This is something that I used to do when I was working as a business analyst. I would look at the top 1 million customers, and then I would say like, hey, these are the things that they're actually purchasing. Why not target them with the same things again, right? When you run personalized campaigns and target these segments, the customer acquisition cost will actually go pretty low and your revenue will go up. So more repeat purchases, reduced customer acquisition cost. The second one, ROI. Let's talk about JLL Real Estate. So JLL Real Estate set up 16 KPIs, including ROI, to measure their marketing contributed to revenue. So by reallocating budgets based on those metrics, they tripled their pipeline contribution and boosted revenue fourfold. That's the power of focusing on ROI. So there are a lot of KPIs. I can list that case study in the description. I would highly recommend you go check that out. When you have a lot of KPIs, sometimes it can be confusing. But a lot of companies look at, okay, these are the spending that we've had for marketing, and this is what we've actually made. How much of the revenue was contributed because of how much we spent on marketing. When you understand which of those metrics actually worked pretty well, you can contribute more to that. This is basically the process of you analyzing what's working and then thinking about how to kind of allocate your budget. That is ROI. The next one is CLV, customer lifetime value. Let's talk about Costa Rican vacations. So I'm just going to read this out. I've written here. By identifying high-value customer segments and targeting them, Costa Rican vacations increased website conversions by 40%. This improved their customer lifetime value, proving that retaining great customers is just as important as finding new ones. Like I mentioned in Dylan's Candy Bar example, finding out who your top customers are and then making sure they stay right there is way more important than trying to bring new customers. So you need to understand over the course of a relationship, will they bring more revenue? If yes, stick with them. Make sure you pay more attention to them. That's really interesting, but hold on a second. I've got something just as exciting to share with you. Elevator Gazette is your go-to newsletter for elevating both your personal and professional life. Every Sunday, get tips on achieving balance and personal growth. Every Thursday, receive career advice, marketing strategies, and professional development insights, and much more. Plus, stay updated with the latest from my podcasts and much more. Join my newsletter today at anushakannan.com/email list and start elevating your journey. Let's get back into the show. Fourth one is conversion rate optimization. I have an example here of Mazda dealership. So Mazda dealerships basically ran targeted email campaigns to reconnect with past customers. This simple strategy boosted service appointments by 54%. So CRO does not have to be complicated. It just needs to be thoughtful. Let's say you're landing on a landing page and you see something that has got nothing, like literally nothing to do with what you wanted to get out of that experience. You would immediately leave that website. You would immediately leave that page. But when the landing page is like answering all the questions you wanted, it has everything that you could possibly need, you would stay there and you would take some action, which could be the desired action for the company. So yes, in real life, there are lots of things that goes into understanding how this actually works, but CRO does not have to be complicated. It's one of the most powerful tools, powerful metrics that everybody has to master. The fifth one is engagement. Let's take CeraVe, for example. CeraVe leaned into science-backed content and humor on TikTok and Instagram, and their engagement rates soared, like it skyrocketed. proving that authenticity wins on social media. I've been creating content these days and I'm honestly testing out a lot and I'm understanding a lot. And I will say when you're more authentic, when you tell more stories, it works pretty well. And CeraVe understood that. Now, how can you apply the 5 concepts and the 5 examples that I literally just talked about? First off, start off with customer acquisition cost. Basically use the formula marketing and sales cost divided by the number of new customers you gained and compare it to industry benchmarks. And if it's too high, look at where your spend is not paying off. Secondly, track ROI. Set up KPIs that tie directly to revenue, and you have to look at your business for that. And if something is not generating a return, consider reallocating resources to high-performing areas. Number 3, optimize CLV. Identify your most valuable customers. What do they need? How can you keep them coming back? Sometimes even a small tweak in service or communication can make a huge difference, and that can skyrocket your CLV. Number 4, experiment with conversion rate optimization. Run A/B tests on your website, emails, even ads. Even small changes, like I said, like it could be as small as a headline tweak. You might think, who really cares? But actual true marketers will know headlines make a big difference. They can improve conversion rates so significantly. So make sure you test that out. Number 5, boost engagement by sleep. Engagement, again, I do like it, but I do think it has to lead somewhere. A lot of people like to focus on, I have these many followers, I have these many likes. What are you tying it to? It has to go somewhere. So make sure your content aligns with your larger goals, whether it's brand awareness, lead generation, or sales. I like more of lead gen sales perspective than brand awareness. But again, everything is a process. So don't expect overnight results, but do expect to learn a lot along the way when you kind of look at these 5 metrics. Before we wrap up, again, I want to say and reiterate again, in 2 days, I'm releasing a step-by-step breakdown on how to calculate customer acquisition cost in my newsletter. If you're not yet subscribed, go to anushakannan.com/email list. You don't want to miss it. This is just the first one I'm launching. I'll be diving deeper into marketing metrics and how to use them effectively. So make sure you're subscribed. And yeah, metrics can feel intimidating, but I like them so much. And because they give you the tools to make better decisions, you kind of cut through the noise and you focus on what works. So yeah, if you're ready to start applying these metrics, let me know which metric you want to tackle first. Let me know, reach out to me on LinkedIn or comment on Spotify or YouTube. Let me know. I do love hearing from you guys. So yeah. That's it for today. Hope you find it useful. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or email me at anusha@anushakannan.com. Follow me on LinkedIn to never miss my journey, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.